It's an exciting time of year because it's time to start putting some seed out on those fields. So just wanted to give you guys a few of my thoughts and tips about that. So what I'm doing right now is mixing up my clover mix. I've already told you I use Ladino, medium red, and Elcite clover, and roughly about 3 pounds of Ladino, 5 pounds per acre of medium red, and about 5 pounds of Elcite and about 7 pounds of medium red. So what I do, and I really recommend you guys do this, is if you've got a 1 acre field that you're going to be sowing, I would split that up into 1/4 acre sections, so that you can make sure that you get your seed spread evenly across the field. Because what you don't want to have happen is you mix up an acre's worth of your clover mix and you go out there and you start spreading it. And I highly recommend you use something like this. I know it might be a little bit more work, a little more tedious, but you've got a lot more control about how much seed you sow, so that you don't get yourself in trouble. What you don't want to do is get halfway through the field and you're out of seed, because then you've pretty much doubled the rate of seed, and you got to go buy more because half your field is unseeded. So use a tool like Google Earth and split up your fields into 1/4 acre sections, and then measure out what you need for 1/4 of an acre and spread that and move through the field that way. I just think that if you take your time like that, you'll get better results as far as getting your seeds spread out throughout the whole field. So I've got just a simple kitchen scale right here, and I am weighing out my Ladino. Mixing it in. The other reason that this makes sense to only measure out a 1/4 acre at a time is because it's so much easier to mix up in a small, this little dish pan like this. This is all I need for a 1/4 acre right here. Can mix it really well. Stick it in the bag, and then another thing that I do just to kind of make this whole process, break things up a little bit for me, is I will mix up what I need to do 1 food plot. So if I got a 1 acre food plot out there, I'll mix 4 bags of seed that's good for a 1/4 acre each, and I'll go out there and I'll spread it. It's a little bit of work walking an acre, doing this, and then I'll come back and I'll measure out my next food plot. So I'm kind of back and forth throughout the day on the day that I choose to plant, but I like doing it that way because it kind of breaks things up. Maybe it's not as efficient, but you guys use your own judgment on that. One other thought about using this and only doing a 1/4 acre at a time is that this thing can get pretty heavy, actually. So you don't really want to be doing, 15 pounds of seed all at the same time. It just makes things a little bit easier for you. So one other thought I wanted to mention, I've talked already about doing radish. I wouldn't spread your radish at the same time you do your clover. As you can see, the clover seed is very, very small. And radish seed is quite a bit bigger. So if you mix your radish and your clover together, it's not going to come out of the spreader quite as well, quite as efficiently. You might not get it spread as evenly throughout the field. So again, it's a little bit more work, but I would spread your radish separately from your clover, and then your rye separately from the clover and the radish as well. May not be the most efficient way of doing things, but I think it's just a better way of doing things. Take your time on this. Make sure you do it right. You'll be really happy with the results. I just wanted to make a comment about when you buy your seed. In the old days, when you bought clover seed, you had to buy something called an inoculant and mix it in with the clover. Nowadays, you can buy just about all clover seed that you'll buy is pre-inoculated with a coating over the top of it. So just make sure when you buy your seed, you do get that inoculant. It's going to make sure that you capture nitrogen from the atmosphere, and that it's able to attach itself to the roots of your clover. It's free fertilizer, so you definitely want to get that pre-inoculant coating on your clover seed. And there is an expiration on that, and so ask your supplier. Make sure that it hasn't expired, that it's something that's fresh and good seed. Other thing I just wanted to mention for clarification, I had talked about using this spreader for clover, and I do recommend that for the very small clover seeds, but this bag spreader works better for more high volume applications. You can put about 20 or 25 pounds of rye in this thing and put it over your shoulders, and works much better for that. So that's kind of how I differentiate between which spreader I'm going to use.